Our trip to France began in Paris, the city of light. This view of the Place de la Concorde and the obelisk with the Eiffel Tower lit up in the background. Paris, one of the more romantic cities, with this view of Notre Dame Cathedral and the Bateau Mouche cruising the River Seine. We stayed at the Intercontinental Hotel that was right next to the Paris Opera House. This is the view of the Opera House from our hotel window with the Place de l'Opéra underneath. I gave my scientific presentation at the meeting. I think it was relatively well received, and I was also honored to receive an award from the Retina Society, and here's Julia Haller with this presentation of the award. It wasn't all work. We had a wonderful, fun evening. Hear everybody laughing at the proposition of the Can-Can girls that they made to me. We went on to Monet's house at Giverny with this fabulous garden, very well maintained, and of course the iconic lily pond that Monet painted so many times with this beautiful setting and the Japanese bridge in the background, the fall colors blending in with the beautiful flower garden that was maintained by apparently 10 separate gardeners. We had an afternoon off in Paris where we went to the Louvre, and we stopped off at the Palais Royal to enjoy some of the modern works of art. As you can see here, Lisa enjoying these striped pedestals. Once the meeting was over in Paris, it was off to Bordeaux in the southwest corner of France for the Backroads trip. And here, first day, we stopped with a bus, also known as the Wimp Wagon. And once we got outfitted for our bikes, off we went from the initial stopping point somewhat east of Bordeaux to the village of Tremola. And here we're just starting out, winding on these winding roads through this very small village in the southwest corner of France. Once we climbed out of the village, we climbed up a hill. Here you can see Lisa coming by and the rest of the gang following along on these truly back roads trips. There was really very little traffic, and they were very one-lane roads pretty much the whole way. The route's very well marked out. Our first stop was in the village of Cales, where we stopped at a little bar and restaurant and had a beer to reward ourselves for the first day, and a little squeeze as well. The first night we stayed in Tremola at the Vieux Logis, which is the old lodge. Here the view of the alleyway into it, and this is the lobby. This beautiful little hotel had wonderful grounds with very well maintained boxwood bushes here, and it had a lovely garden and swimming pool. It was a little too cold to swim, however. The accommodations that we had were really very, very nice. This is Lisa leaving our hotel room just outside the lobby area. And then we gathered early in the morning after breakfast for instructions as to the trip and to the route we were going to take, and where some of the difficult parts of the trip might be. From here, Perrine, our guide, showing us the way. And then once all instructions had been given for the day, we hopped on our bikes and headed out from the staging area at the parking lot into the village itself. This next segment shows Lisa riding ahead as we ride past the hotel. This is a typical kind of a day that we would have. We would hop on our bikes and ride for maybe 25 or 35 miles and through these lovely little French villages. Here you can see that the fall was just starting. The leaves were just beginning to turn. The ivy leaves on the building just starting to turn over as we ride past the hotel and past its front courtyard here in the garden. And once we enter the little village of Tremola itself, a left turn here at the intersection will take us past the market square, where some of the townspeople are just beginning to gather for a market day. There's the boulangerie and a little patisserie, and then past this 17th century French church, which really was not very much going on the inside. And then through this lovely little village with the narrow streets and cobbled pathways, walkways, and sidewalks, these narrow little areas that very clean and neat, very nice place to be. Here's the climb. We climbed the hill with a view of the Dordogne River, and once at the top, rewarded ourselves with a brief look out over the beautiful valley of the Dordogne region. Our rides took us back past medieval ruins, and after a good 25 miles, we stopped for lunch at a local restaurant. Here, the Backroads crew has assembled our meal, which we thoroughly enjoy, along with a couple of bottles of wine. We then pushed on to the village of Lalande, here seen by the Dordogne River, the next morning, and we stopped for a coffee and croissant at one of the local cafes. We stopped at the bridge over the Dordogne River, and lovely, kind of a romantic spot looking back over the river when you can see the river flowing underneath, and then the village of Lalande behind. It was just to say, it was a romantic spot, and you can see our two Mexican friends enjoying an early morning kiss. I had to admonish them about any public displays of affection. We then rode on to Montbalzillac, this chateau at Montbalzillac with the surrounding vineyard. We stopped there and had a very lovely wine tasting. And then we pushed on to the village of next to the Vieux-Logis, pushed on to the village, the town of Bergerac. And here we stopped just outside the Chateau de Vergères. Here the bus waiting for us, and we rested by this 12th century Romanesque church. And then from there it was on to Saint-Emilion, of course famous for its wines. There were still Then it was on to Saint-Emilion, the region of the grapes, multiple wine regions in the Bordeaux Valley with right and left bank wines. We stopped at a bunch of different vineyards and had a wonderful time doing so. Here, the village of Saint-Emilion with the cathedral and its wonderful tower. And here you can see us riding past the vineyards, these very old stone walls guarding the different vineyards on either side as we ride into the town of Saint-Emilion. After we go around a few corners, we enter the little village itself, the old Romanesque church being seen, and then the cathedral tower beyond. And there we pull into the central courtyard of the village of Saint-Emilion with the Hostellerie de la Plaisance, where we spent the next couple of days. We enter these very well-maintained cobbled streets in the little central square, and we climbed the tower, and there's a very dizzying view of the town below with the little town squares with some open-air tables. And so from the two of us, we enjoyed our trip, and bon voyage to all.